Welcome to the Milo Yiannopoulos Show on Podcast One, broadcasting live from Mordor, the Borg Cube, and Voldemort's lair all at the same time. This show is hosted by Milo Yiannopoulos, the most fabulous supervillain on the internet. Sorry, no offense, but it's true. The Milo Yiannopoulos Show is brought to you by Breitbart.com.
Welcome to episode 10 of the Milo Yiannopoulos Show, or as I like to call it, our 10th week anniversary. Did you remember our anniversary, Tom?
Yeah, this is 10 weeks. I haven't been here for 10 weeks, but...
Yeah, you didn't. You're a liar. You thought this was episode 11 a minute ago. Just a minute ago. You never remember our week anniversaries.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Anyway, we've been going for 10 weeks. Somehow, I don't know how this has happened. I think it's a grave error in judgment from the powers that be at Breitbart and Podcast One. Somehow we have not been yanked off the air.
I think we put on a good show. I mean,
I've tried. I've tried to get removed from the air. There have been some ad reads that didn't go great.
Did you listen
we're not supposed to talk about
Did
that.
you ever re-listen to our Sour Skittles banter from a couple episodes ago? People love that.
Yes. And there were some nice pictures on the Twitter account of red wine and sour Skittles. And people still remember. They still know which ones I like and I don't like. People like... Yeah, I'll tell you something about my listeners and my readers, my fans in general. They have the sharpest minds. They're the most brilliant people. They remember everything. They have such good heads for detail. They know more about my life than I do, because I make most of this stuff up on the fly.
Well, I don't think when we talk about Skittles on this podcast, that it's going to show up all over Twitter when we get off, but it does. That happens.
People want to know this stuff. They want to know what I eat, what I wear, what I drink. It's a remarkable thing. This is the pressures of fame. All right, let's talk about, we've one subject and one subject only this week, and it is the spectacular pandemonium at DePaul University in Chicago, Illinois. I'm sitting in a mid-price hotel room in Chicago, surrounded by researchers and members of the Milo team, and I'm just reeling from the fallout of possibly I think it almost certainly is, the highlight of the Dangerous Faggot Tour so far. You've been leading our coverage on Breitbart of this, so why don't people are sick of hearing my voice. Why don't you give a brief summary, a little précis of what happened this week?
Yeah, well, Alan and I kind of took hold and directed how we wanted to handle this, but we made sure we could get basically every angle we can get. So I hope a lot of our listeners have gone and read most of these pieces already, but it was just pandemonium from every angle. And when we thought it was over, we were learning new stuff. Well, we just learned, a couple hours ago today that one of the professors at DePaul was basically egging on, encouraging, supporting one of the student protesters who got right up in your face.
Well, she snatched the mic from somebody. She was dancing like she was on drugs. For the 4 listeners that have been, in Iraq or having root canal surgery this week, I gave a talk at DePaul, and there were 550 people in the audience. So it's one of the bigger ones, and probably in total, inside and outside, probably 250 protesters. And it just degenerated into the most amazing spectacle of just this huge crowd of almost 1,000 people rowing and yelling and pulling at each other and chasing me across the quad of DePaul. Eventually, I managed to leap into a getaway car and get away. But the fallout from this has been so bad because the university refused to police it properly, and indeed worse than that, instructed Chicago PD, the police officers who were called to the scene, to protect me, not to act when somebody was on stage threatening to hit me. And this pandemonium was going on in the auditorium, and they refused to do anything about it. Now, one happy consequence of this, and I say happy, I just mean in the sense of, cosmic justice, has been on Facebook. Now, as you know, Tom, I'm not a petty person. I'm not trivially minded. I'm a high-minded sort of person, in fact, concerned with, the grand issues of the day and with, elements of history and philosophy and art. But I have enjoyed the trolling that has happened on DePaul's Facebook group. Now, I didn't know this, but you can give ratings to organizations and to places on Facebook. So if you've got a verified page, it's sort of your social homepage, it's the place people go first when they Google you. What has happened? Tell us what has happened.
Well, this kind of developed today as people, some of it's serious, some of it's kind of trolling, but people took over the DePaul University Facebook page and left literally thousands of reviews basically condemning the administration for their decisions and their behavior at your event. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people have spoken up. Some of them are serious, some of them are kind of, satirical. But I mean, the one you wrote was, I thought, hysterical.
Very serious. Very serious. I've got the numbers in front of me, and the numbers are, there were sort of 500 or so pre-existing 5-star reviews for DePaul University. DePaul University has about 65,000 followers on Facebook. I have about 105,000, but not that I'm into dig measuring. But 500 or so people had rated the university 5 stars, about 64 stars, about 23 stars, about 22 stars, and who knows how many 1 stars. But the 1 stars in the last 24 hours have grown somewhat, and they now total 4.6 thousand, 4,500. 4,600 1-star reviews for DePaul University to give an average of 1.4. So the ratings have created. Now, I'll give you an example of a review, and you can tell me whose you think this is.
Okay, go ahead.
As a gay refugee from socialist Europe, I felt radically unsafe when college authorities allowed a bigoted and homophobic religious preacher to physically threaten me, despite my polite but admittedly slightly camp entreaties that I should not be subjected to threats of violence for the crime of expressing sexual interest in an ethnic minority man. Speaking as this happened to me. I felt very endangered. Speaking as a prominent member of the global LGBTQQUFHEBXJSFFB $::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::and member of perhaps the most endangered and marginalized group in society, gay conservatives, I demand that the DePaul College authorities immediately rename its accommodation blocks after the likes of Ronald Reagan, Ayn Rand, and Donald Trump. I refuse to sit idly by as the mechanisms of hate speech undermine my right to make jokes about hideous, blubbery, train-wreck lesbian feminists and obnoxious and petulant Black Lives Matter terrorists. Enough is enough, DePaul. No more safe spaces. It's time for shitlording 101 to take its rightful place in the liberal arts requirements, and for mischief, irreverence, and misbehavior to be restored to the curriculum. P.S. No one is trans. It's a brain disease. And this is there's 398 likes as of, well, it's Wednesday night, so it's going to have rapidly sped past that. Oh, no, another 400 likes.
One of them was me. I'm reading it. It's so funny.
Yes, listeners, that was my review of DePaul University. I'm going to start leaving them everywhere I go. I'm going to start reviewing every college I speak at, and I'm going to review the administration for how robustly they defend free speech in the wake of my talks. And I should go back and retroactively. You could perhaps help me with the entry for Bucknell.
Yeah, I mean, I would love. I was kind of wishing we had some more backlash. And I don't mean like students, but I wish we could have done something like this over there. But I mean, you were saying that these schools can go in and shut off this review section. So is it possible that all of this would be for nothing if they just go in tomorrow and turn this off?
No, because of course the golden rule of journalism is, whatever happens, you just write it up. And this is, by the way, this is not some organized hate campaign. This is a spontaneous outpouring of genuine revulsion. And I think that's been played out across all social networks and in the media and on campus itself. Genuine revulsion at the university administration's refusal to stick up for free speech and pandering to the worst, crassest, most dreadful elements of social justice on campus. This has just been a genuine, the administrators need to listen to this show, and I want them to take one thing away from them. They might not like me. They might not like anything I have to say, but don't get led into the trap of thinking that this is some kind of, evil right-wing letter-writing campaign. This is what people now think about your university. This is the reputation that DePaul has acquired. I'd never even heard of this university. I mean, I sort of semi-heard of it because it's Catholic and because I'm Catholic, and I sort of semi-heard it. And, somewhere in the deep recesses of my mind, that word existed, that phrase existed. I kind of, sort of heard of the university. But most people in America haven't. But now they know it, and they know it for all the wrong reasons. And these are some of the consequences of pandering to the very worst elements of social justice. And as I never tire of pointing out, there's one university that has experienced those consequences even more disastrously than any other, and that is Missouri, which has lost, I think to date, probably something like 40 million in alumni donations and had to close 2 dorms because admissions are down so much. I'm not about to suggest that something of comparable scale happened at DePaul this week, but it is certainly true that relative to its reputation and name recognition, despite the fact that it's a big school of 20,000 odd students, this is now what people will remember DePaul for. It's the college that instructed Chicago PD not to take someone off stage who threatened to punch a gay invited speaker. It's remarkable.
Can we possibly, we covered the story from so many different angles, but I think our listeners might be interested. Can we briefly go through each of these stories and get your perspective? I mean, like, let me ask you, what was your experience with Edward Ward? I mean, what was
Edward Ward? It's a very strange name. Do you know it's a recursive name?
I just realized.
Because his name is Edward Ward, but if you just call him Ed, his name is still Edward.
I mean,
it's like a fractal name. It doesn't matter how much you squint, it still looks like shit.
I keep going back and watching this video, and it's insane. I mean, what was going through your head as this happened?
Well, so he comes up with whistles, and there's all this sort of drama on stage, and it's, whatever. So I could have made a few quips that they didn't like very much. Or there were these black women from Black Lives Matter, and I said, I know why the black women are here. Probably because I fucked all their brothers. Definitely going to lose my clean tag.
Can we curse on the show?
I don't know. I don't think iTunes has noticed that we swear yet. And when it notices that we swear, it's going to switch us to explicit.
I'm okay with that. That's fine. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I want to be... they're never going to feature me anyway. Of course they're not. Who gives a... Yeah. Anyway, so I'd made a few jokes, and I said to him, if you weren't such an obnoxious cunt, I might even hit on you, because you're making lovely stage furniture for me at the moment, or something like that. And he walks up to me and goes, "Don't try me. I'll lay you out." No way. That's fairly clear to me.
I mean, he did. We can see in the camera he said something to you. We didn't know, and I don't even think we included that in any of our stories.
No, because I didn't really tell anybody, but that's what he said.
That's.
And he's not even a student anymore. Did you know that?
Well, that's because we were writing it as DePaul political science graduate. It was never a student.
Yeah, he's not even a student. He just returns.
How many years out is he?
I don't know. Probably a couple. Funded, who knows by whom, to come and cause trouble on campus. It's a remarkable thing.
Is that why I think they were chanting "get a job"? Is that what they were chanting?
Yeah, because he's probably some Soros-funded Black Lives Matter activist who has graduated in, African diaspora studies or something like that, and has never got a real job because he's never had to, because he's paid by some rich white liberal to cause trouble for other rich white people.
What happened with Rebel Pundit? What is the story there?
Oh my God. Well, if I were not quite so self-involved, I might have led with this, because it is kind of the biggest story of the whole event, which is that a journalist was arrested on charges of criminal trespassing for filming the event. Nothing else. Just the fact that he was a journalist attempting to film the mischief-making and wrongdoing and bad behavior of Black Lives Matter. And the university had him arrested for trespass. He was in prison for hours.
Didn't we find out that we ended up finding out that he had some kind of permission to be filming? Didn't we end up... that was something.
Yeah, he had a permit. No, he had a permit.
This blows my mind. That is one of the bigger stories here, because it
is, if we're honest, the story.
It's out of control.
It's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
So, okay, well, we're going to keep moving, because we hit this from like 10 different angles.
The team did an amazing job, by the way. If you ever find yourself, at a loss for more Milo, and I understand this instinct because I occasionally feel like this too, and you've watched everything on YouTube 3 times, and I've said nothing new for 20 minutes on Twitter, and you can't find anything new on Facebook, you can go to breitbart.com/Milo, and this is all the content by and about me. So you might well have missed a story that you will find there. And it's just been overflowing today with the amazing work from you and Ben and Alan and Charlie, an incredible, the Breitbart sort of tech and social justice team that I lead. Incredible coverage today. You've done brilliantly. Tell us about what else is in there.
I was up at 8 a.m. on the East Coast, and we just went all day. It was a lot of fun.
I love American journalists. I think 8 a.m. is early.
Well, I mean,
I'm just teasing.
It's 2 a.m. now. We're still going.
I'm teasing. Tell us some of the other stories.
So we wrote about Katie Danforth, who's going to be with us after the break. And
well, this is our interview.
She was incredible. So many people on social media, on Twitter, were praising this girl for her ability to. Obviously, this wasn't prepared. She didn't know this was going to happen. She got up on. You asked her to come up on the stage, and she just she blew me away. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So she's a black member of the College Republicans who does not believe in the crazy conspiracy theorizing of Black Lives Matter. It's amazing that you have to make these basic points, like being against Black Lives Matter doesn't mean you hate black people. It just means that you don't necessarily think that this is the correct set of solutions for a problem that some people have identified. It's amazing that you have to make that distinction. Amazing that you have to point that out. That not agreeing with, the tenets of modern third wave feminism doesn't mean you hate women. It doesn't make you a misogynist. It just makes you, able to read statistics. Anyway, Katie's a black member of the College Republicans, and we're going to speak to her after the break. By the way, that's our interview this week with Katie, who I think is a wonderful, brave young girl, and with her colleague, the chairman of the DePaul College Republicans, Nicole Bean. I saw her kind of yelling at the Black Lives Matter guys, and my natural instinct for spectacle kicked in, and I thought, let's invite her up on stage. I gave her a microphone, and they started going at it, and I thought she was great. She was demanding what I always thought that activists wanted, which was the, right to have black voices heard. Well, they're perfectly happy to have them heard unless they express the wrong opinions. And she was, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. This is so shocking to me and so hilarious. And I laughed out loud when it happened. She said that she believed in, self-reliance and independence and hard work and all the rest of it. And the response to that from Black Lives Matter was to call her a white supremacist.
Yeah, no, I heard that. It's despicable. It's laughable too.
It's so I can't even get angry about it because it's so funny.
How is that the response? I don't know how it's possible.
I can't get mad about it.
Were we talking about that after the break? Did you ask her about?
Yeah, we will be talking about it after the break. But okay. I genuinely can't get mad about it because it's so funny.
Okay,
it's so funny.
Well, I look forward to that. One of the other things people are going to want to hear about, and we should definitely hit on it, is the issue with security. We asked on Breitbart today. We asked for the money that Breitbart paid for the security back. Where were they? Were they in the room?
Well, they were instructed. They were instructed by the college not to intervene, to stand down. And I just, picture the scene: a Black Lives Matter speaker, predominantly black audience, disrupted by, let's say, Trump trolls.
No,
how quickly those people would be hauled out.
That's what I put on Twitter today. If I treated Sean King the way these students treated you, I would be in jail.
And he's not even black.
I put the side by side today. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. You remember that student?
I'm sorry to say I don't follow your Twitter account with the level of assiduousness I clearly need to.
Well, you should, because it's interesting. Do you remember when that
needy deputies? This is the bane of my existence.
Do you remember that student? It was like 10 years ago. Started shouting at John Kerry at some university in Florida, and they tased him.
Yes,
they didn't even go.
I think all millennials deserve to be tased at least once.
Even me. Yeah,
you could probably do with it. Toughen you up a bit. You're too nice. You're too soft. You could do with it, just so you know how bad it is.
Okay.
I just want to watch. I want to watch. I think the entire generation of millennials deserves to be tased, possibly at once. Just this massive convulsion of just agony and trauma across the entire generation. Snap them out of the BuzzFeed nonsense.
I don't read BuzzFeed, so that should exempt me. But anyway,
you're like a rare treasure, a little flower, a snowflake, one might even say.
Something that I thought was crazy, and we're going to go through this stuff a little quicker. Edward Ward or whatever.
We've got a captive audience here. They're just listening to this on the way to work. You don't have to rush.
No, okay.
We can talk for as long as I like. They're not going to turn it off. they can't. They've got their hands on the wheel.
Okay, fair,
it's just being piped through the car speakers. There's nothing they can do about it. That, or even worse, they're out running. And if you stop, you're going to realize how out of breath you are. Just sort of stab at the buttons on your iPod. You don't want to do that either. You've got to just keep running and listening to this drivel.
When do you listen to your podcasts?
When I need to crack one out before I go to sleep.
Okay.
And I need the sound of my own voice to get me over
this podcast.
Just to get me over the line.
It's this one.
Well, any of them. Anything with my voice in it. Okay. I have my soothing, dulcet British tones. You could just get me over the edge.
You could just put your appearance on Joe Rogan on. That's just 3 hours. So
that's good. I can get lots done in 3 hours.
So. Edward Ward.
I get so many emails every week from people like 50, 60 years old. I do love your podcast and it's great, but I do wish you'd tone down the swearing and sexual content because I'd love to play this to my grandchildren. I'm just like, what do you think they're listening to? What do you think the conversations they're having in the playground? Because they're so much worse than this.
This isn't exactly a family show, but I would invite young people.
No, I disagree. I think everybody should listen to this. I think everybody should read everything I write. I think everybody should listen to this show. I think this is the perfect thing to have on at the dinner table. Because if your mother's casserole is revolting, you have an excuse to spit it out. And you can plausibly claim that it wasn't the food.
That's how we should brand the show. Listen to it at dinner. Bring politics back.
When you can grimace and pretend that it's the show and not your mother's terrible cooking. We've wandered off the point.
Okay, anyway. I don't know how this happened, but somebody from Heat Street found Edward Ward's cell phone number online and called him.
Ward. Yes.
Ward.
Edward Ward.
And did you get a chance to listen to this interview?
No, I haven't. I know what he said though. He said that my words could inspire massacres.
Yeah, so he linked you very directly to the Charleston shooter Dylan Roof, which is odd because I don't.
The only thing I have in common with Dylan Roof is we both dress like rednecks. No, I'm just kidding.
People who listen to your message know that you're not a
both
racist.
like the Confederate flag.
You're a lot of things, but you're not racist. I mean,
it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell trying to persuade somebody that I'm a racist for reasons that most listeners will know. It's a pretty tough sell, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very tough sell. That was his big thing. He's like, he defended his actions. He was on Twitter today. I think you quote retweeted him.
I did. Oh, do you know actually on that subject? I don't know if I've told you this, but I now go out, when I go clubbing, I now take a paint chart with me. You know, one of those like Dulux paint charts where you can pick sort of what color you want to. So I don't sleep with anyone who's lighter than Pharaoh's Gold 5. So what I do is when somebody expresses sexual interest, I will delve into my Louis Vuitton handbag and open up a fan paint chart and hold it up to their face. I'm sorry. That's
the teaser bit for this week. That's going to be the teaser clip.
I don't sleep with anyone lighter than Pharaoh's Gold 5.
That's the bit. That's going to be. Milo doesn't sleep with anybody lighter than a 10-6.
Do you know the worst thing about that is it's true. It's literally the color. It's literally the skin color, the lightest skin color I like.
All right.
Let's get one more interesting thing. Okay. One more salient point about DePaul before we go to break, and then we'll come back and we will have a much more sensible segment. Why? Because you're not in it. We'll be listening to Katie and Nicole tell us about their experiences, but try to be interesting in the time we have left.
Okay. This one I'm picking this one because it irked me to no end. I want to talk about, I want to get your opinion on DePaul University president's apology to the college Republicans, his statement basically today, which was like a backhanded attack at you and your political views.
Didn't apologize to me. Where's my refund? I want my money back. And so do the college Republicans. Didn't address the only thing we want to know, which is where's our money?
Yeah, it's pretty easy for him to apologize to them without doing anything about it. What's he going to do? What's the plan of action?
It was a dumb apology, wrapped in mischaracterizations of my political positions and a healthy dollop of virtue signaling.
Look,
very bizarrely bookended by this guy's experiences in France. I don't know where he's Verdun or I can't remember. It's a First World War or Second World War burial site or something. And he sort of invokes the memory of dead European soldiers. And I don't really know why. It's a deeply weird thing, but basically mealy-mouthed, spineless, and a sort of non-apology that didn't even mention me. It's his security who he praises in the letter and says it was such a good job. There's security allowing somebody to physically threaten me, refusing to take them off stage even when I've begged them to. Where's my apology?
I slammed him on the Facebook review for this because I just thought it was, when a university president is speaking on behalf of a university, it is not his job to get political. I thought it was completely inappropriate. One of his students threatens to assault a guest speaker, and he wants to remind us all, that he believes the wage gap exists. What is that? What is going on?
I found it remarkable that he was prepared to advertise his own ignorance in that way.
I don't know what is going on in this. I mean, I thought I had seen it all. I was like, this guy's what? I'm done. Let's go to the interview. I can't deal with this.
Well, there we go. We've broken Tom. We've broken up. Congratulations, president of DePaul University. You've broken my producer. I should elevate. I need to give you a promotion.
To what?
I'm going to give you an extra magic bean a week. Because I think you've now established yourself as the reason people listen to this show. You've exceeded your bounds as producer and you've become co-host.
Oh, am I officially co-host?
I don't know. We're going to have to start calling this show Sickatopoulos. Yiannopoulos. All right. Enough silliness. We're going to break. You've been listening to me, Milo Yiannopoulos, and my trusty sidekick and evergreen companion, Tom Sakata. After the break, we're coming back to speak to Katie and Nicole the lovely girls from the DePaul College Republicans to dive a bit more deeply into the insanity of what occurred this week at DePaul in Chicago. We'll be back right after these messages.
What if today was the last normal day of your life? Cassie Sullivan thought she knew what tomorrow would bring. But she was wrong. We were all wrong. The first wave took our power, killing 500,000 people. The second wave put that number to shame, with tsunamis that destroyed everything within 100 miles of the ocean. After the third wave, only the unlucky remained, survivors of a virus that left only 3% of the world still standing. In the fourth wave, the others became us. Inhuman beings hiding behind human faces. At the dawn of the fifth wave, we had to choose, give up or get up and fight. But that was only the beginning. In these last days, Earth's remaining survivors will need to decide what's more important, saving ourselves or saving what makes us human. Rick Yancey's #1 New York Times best-selling novel, The Fifth Wave, introduces us to a group of young people struggling to survive in the aftermath of a catastrophic alien invasion. Its sequels, The Infinite Sea and the newly released The Last Star, follow them through a series of battles and betrayals as they fight the ultimate war between life and death, hope and despair, love and hate. Entertainment Weekly calls the series remarkable, not to be missed under any circumstances, and urges fans to just read it. USA Today hails this as a modern sci-fi masterpiece. And best-selling author of The Passage, Justin Cronin, raves in his New York Times book review, calling The Fifth Wave wildly entertaining. The highly anticipated finale is here and will leave readers stunned. Learn more about the Fifth Wave series at fifthwavebooks.com.
Making an impression is all about contrasts. Listen to gangster rap in the afternoon and Wagner in the evening. Wear Louis Vuitton but smoke Newports. Lunch at Claridge's but dine at KFC. Why spend tens of thousands on a fancy car when you can make just as much of an impression stepping out of a used Toyota in Gucci sunglasses and a three-piece Savile Row suit? I'm not entirely sure this is true, actually. You can get out of a used Toyota in Gucci sunglasses and a three-piece suit and create the same impression as stepping outside of a Maybach. But you know what? Let's go with it. With TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer of your choosing, so you can lock in guaranteed savings off the MSRP. I have no idea what that is, I guess you do. And enjoy a better buying experience. TrueCar customers are more likely to enjoy a faster buying process when they connect with TrueCar certified dealers. Over 2 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar certified dealer network, and there are over 11,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. You will work directly with the TrueCar certified dealer, and TrueCar users save an average of $3,279 off the... Oh, I know, it's manufacturer's suggested retail price. There we go. So I'm basically like an old person. Using the TrueCar website or the TrueCar app, you can easily find the car you want. So when you're ready to buy a new or a used car, visit TrueCar.com or download the TrueCar app to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states. I have been Milo Yiannopoulos. Thank you for listening. It's the podcast with political analysis as rigorous as my daily hair care routine. Welcome back to the Milo Yiannopoulos Show on Podcast 1.
This event got ruined, kind of. Like, not really. I thought it was pretty good, but whatever. Here's this dinosaur from Safe Space. So I brought it to the
Wait, no, I saw it. Someone asked me to sign it.
Really?
I signed your dinosaur. I remember signing your dinosaur. Somebody brought it to me.
We named it Milosaurus.
Oh.
By eating gold right now.
No, it's recording. But that's okay. Hi, that's Will Ross in the background. All right, let's get started. Welcome back to the Milo Yiannopoulos Show. We're in fits of giggles here in a hotel room in, where are we? Chicago, Illinois. And I am with two lovely ladies, members of the DePaul College Republicans. I am with Katie Danforth, who is a member of the College Republicans. And I am with Nicole Bean, who is the, what are you? You're the chairman. Is that allowed? You're chairperson, chairwoman?
I don't care.
You're a conservative, so you don't give a shit about stuff like that. Right, so why don't you give us a little quick overview of the chaos and drama that has been happening in DePaul this week?
Sure. So it pretty much started when, about 2 days before the event, DePaul threw an extra around $1,000 security increase fee on us. Luckily, because of the generosity of Milo and his team, we were able to continue the event. But once the event came, we got everyone in. It was great. We were having a good time. And then some awful human being came in with a even worse whistle and started blowing it. And, then he got up on stage and I was getting direction from our security that we paid a lot of money for, that the cops were being called and because there was a protest and, they said that anybody on stage, anybody standing up would be arrested, and that never happened. The protest then got indoors and we began marching around the university, chanting things and trying to...
We're
fighting back against the left.
Do you know, it was nice for once, as a conservative or libertarian or whatever you were, it was nice to sort of be marching for something, to feel like you were... Now I know why the left likes it so much.
It's really empowering.
No, I get
Standing
it.
up on benches and yelling at people.
And you were like, what do we want? I don't know. But we just want to carry on with our event. Freedom of speech, I guess.
It's not that.
So we tried to march on the principal's office here in DePaul after the security that we collectively paid for, college Republicans and some of the generous donors and me. We didn't get the service we paid for, did we?
No.
And in fact, after Black Lives Matter protesters stormed the stage and threatened to hit me and
who weren't even students either.
They're not.
No.
You see, now I've heard a rumor.
The one with the whistle was not a student. He graduated last year.
You see, so I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true. I heard a rumor that these people are starting to get involved in activist groups where basically they're funded activist groups, like paid activism.
Yes.
So these are groups that operate particularly in places like Chicago, and they're effectively paid to come and disrupt things. Now, that was certainly the case during the Trump protests here in Chicago a while ago. And I've had the great honor visited upon me of a similar level of disruption to Daddy, which is very nice. But something a bit weird happened, and I want to come to you, Katie, to talk about this. And I found this really mystifying. So I'm sitting here with two lovely ladies, Nicole, my new favorite blonde, and Katie, my new favorite white supremacist. If you don't know, well, you won't know this because you're listening to this because it's audio only, but Katie is a black lady, and you were called a white supremacist by Black Lives Matter. Could you talk us through how this happened?
I suppose, where to start. So they got up on stage and they were just, interrupting. And one of them started talking about how, white cops need to stop killing black people. And it really got me sort of angry. And I was just sort of I really think that you guys need to sort of look at your communities and look at the areas you live in before you just start accusing people. I don't know, I would assume Milo heard that and was just sort of, hey, come here.
Madam, you want to come up? You want to come up?
And so then I was like, okay.
I did a very mischievous and reprehensible thing and invited you on stage and gave you a mic so that you could drown them out.
All right, you guys really need to check yourself. Because
Let her talk. Let her talk. Let her talk.
You were complaining about how we wouldn't let you in, and if what we say and what we do is about letting people in and acceptance, then by all means, we let you in. I didn't talk to you.
Please, Katie.
But you're in a place and you're not respecting it. Sorry, you paid for this event. Are you looking at me and telling me that you paid for this event?
Please remain sitting, Brandon.
Why don't you guys sit down? Thank you. You see, this lady turns up. She's speaking on behalf of respectfulness and hard work, and they call her a white supremacist. If there's anyone perpetuating stereotypes about blacks, it's them.
This is a schism, isn't it, in the black community in America at the moment, between the sort of grievance and victimhood-based culture of Black Lives Matter and black people who recognize that some things have got to start with them, and they want to buy into the American dream. They want to aspire, they want to take personal responsibility, they want to get ahead in life rather than complaining about their lot and demanding that other people fix them and invoking these conspiracy theories about, white oppression and all this kind of nonsense. And you, as a member of the College Republicans, are very obviously on the latter side of that. It just strikes me, I can't really wrap my head around how they can do it with a straight face. You're up there and you're saying, because I was at Rutgers and I was talking about academic freedom, and I said, it'd be nice if universities were places of learning, open places of learning where people could experience new ideas. And this feminist jumped up, smeared her face with blood and said, this man preaches hatred. It's a sort of non sequitur of the left, and I don't even know why some of the protesters were there at this event this week. They just seem to be there to make noise. Can you help me to understand how you saying personal reliance and responsibility is a good thing, in a Black Lives Matter protester's head, that means she's a white supremacist? Because it seems to me like if you are ascribing hard work, discipline, self-reliance and aspiration to whites and implicitly not applying that to blacks, that there is only one racist in the room, and it's not, and it's not you, Katie, and it's not me, and it's not the lovely Nicole. It seems to me like it's the Black Lives Matter people who are setting, what I think George W. Bush used to call it, the bigotry of low expectations on black people. Talk me through how this happens. I'm so confused by it.
So I think a thing that I've sort of learned and noticed is that I tend to not really put the color of my skin as a huge dynamic of what defines me. After I got off stage, some of the protesters, they were just trying to talk to me, and they really felt like you were attacking them. And I'm like, but he's not attacking you personally. He's not doing anything to you. There's just this sense of if you attack one, you attack all. And
this is a left thing, isn't it? And it's not just it's not even if you criticize one black person, you've criticized blackness. It's if you've criticized feminism, you've somehow also criticized Black Lives Matter because of this idea of intersectionality, which I like to say is just another way of saying that some people's lives are shit for multiple reasons. The left now doesn't have many battles left to fight and doesn't have many people left in its ranks. So they all have to kind of team up. So if the feminist gets threatened, they're all in. If the Black Lives Matter gets threatened, they're all in. And they kind of come out en masse. And that's perhaps sometimes why their objections can seem a little nonsensical or kind of these random non sequiturs. Sort of talking about academic freedom and somebody then starts to, it's a very confusing thing. And I felt, because I knew you were a member of the society, I thought you would be fine, and I hoped that I wasn't picking on you. And you held your own so marvelously, and I know that a lot of people have watched you online
shaking.
already.
I was like, it's okay.
No, you know what? I admired you because, I won't do this in gay groups because I get the same thing from homosexuals that you sometimes get from these people. And they're in the minority in both cases, they're in the minority of crazies. But I won't do it with the gays. I mean, mostly out of boredom and, because I can't stand to be in the same room as they all put too much aftershave on and wear terrible clothes. But, no, I did admire your bravery. I just thought it was absolutely remarkable that they just come out with these amazing allegations and these incredible name calling. And I noticed that at American University a few weeks ago, a black guy came up to me and said, well, he actually was in the Q&A. He said, I'm walking through and I'm getting attacked by Black Lives Matter for coming to your talk. And the two things that struck me were, one, the progressive left clearly can't comprehend why somebody would want to listen to a talk by somebody they might not agree with. They literally can't wrap their head around the idea of exposing yourself to new ways of thinking. It doesn't even occur to them that you might go to something to be challenged, or to have a different way of thinking suggested to you. And secondly, they're guilty of the worst kind of racism, the kind of racism that puts all black people in a box and suggests they all have to think the same and act the same. And doesn't, they say they want to raise up black voices. Well, they only want to raise up black voices if they have the right opinions. Anyway, I thought you were very brave. I thought it was remarkable.
Thank you.
I want to return to Nicole briefly because talk us through what's happened in the aftermath of this event. So obviously you'll be listening to this on Friday. And in the meantime, we've been on Fox, haven't we? We've been on Bill O'Reilly, on the O'Reilly Factor. We've been on The Five. So mostly conservative media have covered it. Liberals, of course, don't cover it because they're embarrassed about what they've created. Tell us about what some of the fallout's been like on campus. What have you been going through I say going through, you're not a victim, but, what have you been doing since?
Well, so far, I think as a group, we've just been going through the issues that we need to take at hand. So whether that be suing the university to get our money back for funding.
Sue the university?
Yes.
What for? For your money back for security?
Yes, and also your money. Well, you can.
Well, I've asked them for it back. I mean, I don't know. They're trying to rope me into a lawsuit. Bloody America. I said, no, honestly, all I did was show up and crack a few jokes about lesbians, and I'm finding myself embroiled in a $1,000 lawsuit. We don't do that in England. We just challenge each other to duels.
We should start that here because maybe
you owe somebody £1,000. You call them a cad and a bounder. You leave a calling card at their gentleman's club and you challenge them to a duel. It's still how it's done in England.
I think that we're taking this approach though because we met with administration today and literally got nowhere. I think that they say that these people will be punished. They say that things will change and we know they won't. We got a letter from the president of the university he apologized, but he also proceeded to write 4 paragraphs ripping you the entire time.
Wrongly, by the way.
Wrongly.
He said that Milo Yiannopoulos believes that homosexuality is entirely a choice. And if he'd just said, is a choice, there was some wiggle room. But he said, specifically, entirely a choice. I've never said that. I've just never said it. It's like you are the president of a university with 24,000 students and you don't take the time in a letter that's going to be read by who knows, like 1 million people, given the size of this controversy. You don't take the time to get basic facts right.
Yeah, and also, too, he thanked CPD and also the security. So it's like, how out of touch are you? And who's feeding you these lies that security did a good job? Because
well, they must
clearly,
know they didn't. They must know they didn't, but it's interesting whose backs they've got, This is, by any metric, a mess all over. I came to speak on campus. A small vocal minority of lunatics tried to mischaracterize it as some kind of hateful, hate speech event or whatever, right? Which is clearly nonsense. If you look at the tape, I'm just cracking jokes. It's more like a stand-up set, really. Mm-hmm. I'm just cracking some jokes, fine. Some people, it's not going to be to some people's taste. So don't show up, don't come, And this tiny minority is able to just derail an event that 550 people showed up for. And the security, the security thing is what chills me the most. It's what I find the most remarkable, that on stage, you've got a guy physically threatening an invited guest. You've got a girl who's snatched the microphone from someone else's hand. They're created a circus. They've refused to leave after a decent period of time. And this guy threatens me. Security won't touch him.
Yeah.
Security won't do anything.
And security came up to me and told me I need to make these announcements to our guests who are there being fined. They stood up and they said, you need to tell these people there to sit down or else we will arrest them. They all sat down as soon as I said that. I was moving I don't know what happened, but then they said anyone on stage will be arrested. And that didn't happen. The people who were on stage, who were our guests, who came from different universities, who just wanted to hear you speak, they got off the stage, they sat back in their seats and they were quiet. These other people didn't. And they weren't arrested. Nothing happened.
No. And actually, this is the first time I've done, what have I done? 20, 30 days. I don't even know at this point. I'm doing 66 this year. This is the first time I've ever stopped an event early because I realized there's just nothing profitable to be gained from continuing, I found the university's response is amazing. And the president's letter, which kind of, criticized a caricature of my opinions that didn't really bear much relation to reality, proceeded to sort of say there was a problem and that they were shamed but then at the same time praise security. It just didn't make any coherent sense. And also it was a bit weird, the guy's in France and he's kind of invoking the memory of dead Second World War soldiers or something.
Well, and then he also too said that we would be meeting with the Black Lives Matter people, and I told our group, that's like negotiating with terrorists. I'm not going to do that. This is America. We don't do that. So I don't know what meeting they're talking about. I don't plan on meeting with them. They can be reprimanded by the university, but I don't have the time or the patience or the capability of meeting with people who are that stupid.
Katie, if you were the rare chance, and I realize this is a remote possibility, perhaps consigned to fantasy dimensions, where you were able to sit down with representative of Black Lives Matter and sort of explain to them reasonably why you object to their behavior, what would you say to them? Putting you on the spot.
You very much are. I don't know, I guess I'd sort of ask them, what is the point of your movement? Like, I see you fighting when there are racial issues. I don't really see you fighting in the same manner or extent for, black on black crime. And I feel like it's not really about you. Sometimes I think about it, and I could be getting this quote totally backwards, but Martin Luther King once said, I want, one day, my kids will grow up to be judged by the content of,
their character.
Their character, and, not the color of their skin. And that's kind of what I believe. And I think that's really what America is about. And I found so much acceptance in the college Republicans. And we all think differently. We all vote differently. And, we all have different opinions, but we all understand it's, knowledge is key. To just make yourself about black people. You're asking other races to look at you not as black, but you choose to marginalize yourself as just this, okay, well, Black Lives Matter. And if a black person opposes you, they become this enemy and this negative evil thing.
Worse than the white people.
And it's just
You're like Voldemort for them, aren't you? You're a black woman in particular. You're a black woman who dares to have her own opinions. You're I don't know, you're a cross between Voldemort, Darth Vader, and Skeletor. all rolled into one. You're like me for Black Lives Matter, I'm sort of for the crazy progressive, gender warriors, who want to put everyone in boxes, and gay people are going to have these opinions, and if you're a feminist, blah, blah, blah. This gay Republican, or gay conservative, whatever I am, is just horrifying to them, and they can't work it out, and they just sort of, they do this la la la, I'm not listening kind of thing on their ears. You're worse.
I am so much worse.
Well,
I'm going through a large identity crisis right now.
Are you? Is it because you don't know who you are?
It's definitely because I definitely don't know
who you are.
I have no idea who I am.
You've forgotten about your blackness. This is what you don't know what was it they said to you? You're confused, honey. You don't know who you are. And you're on stage being pretty sure I do.
Definitely just told you who I am. I don't know. It's funny, and it's just it's not something you see often. And I feel sometimes a lot of African Americans or black people who think differently are just sort of shut down, and you're not really allowed to speak about it. And if you speak out, you're everyone just sort of looks at you and it's really mad.
Well, there are social costs attached, aren't there, to expressing opinions that step outside a very narrow range of quite balmy points of view that are based more on conspiracy theory than fact, and that even where they are correct seem to ignore much larger problems in the pursuit of an easy enemy. Let's blame it all on people with white skin. It's a very bizarre movement. And what you've hit upon, which I think is perceptive and I think is right, and you sort of hinted at this, is the way in which it moves us backwards from the ideals of Martin Luther King. And this is what people mean when they talk about the regressive left, It takes us back from a sort of golden future, the one that he promised us, where people would be judged by who they are.
And I think a huge thing for me is you ask them, why are you protesting? And there's just well, because we don't like him. You're marching for not liking an individual person. And there's just, I don't know, there's not, I just don't feel the passion.
They have no idea why. You ask them okay, what has he said that you don't like? And they can't produce a single statement. It's they just come out to cause a fuss and to be difficult and to obstruct things and to be hysterical. What I find remarkable as well is just the inefficacy and the self-destructiveness of Black Lives Matter. What has been the single result of that movement? The only result of that movement, because it's achieved nothing politically. The only result of that movement has been black cities in flames.
And I think they do it too because they know they can get away with it.
Talk a little bit about that, because I don't want to speculate about DePaul, but it seemed to me I'm just thinking to myself, if I had come and disrupted an event, a Black Lives Matter event, let's say, and I had come and said, I'm not sure I believe in all this and refuse, I think security would have been quite quick to remove me, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. And we talk about this a lot. I know myself personally, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Republican. When there's drag shows...
It's a rare thing at the Catholic University of DePaul. Is somebody who is a Catholic.
Yeah. You know.
I was on the radio show. Sorry to interrupt you. I was on the radio show, and this girl's like, well, women don't have like all the rights. What about, the right to their own health choices? I'm like, are you talking about murder? Are you talking about killing babies? Is that, your right to your own body?
You go to a Catholic school.
Yeah, no, like, do you know where you are? So somebody told me, I was on, who is it? Joe, oh God, I can't remember his name. Joe Murphy, maybe. One of the local Chicago radio shows for a former congressman. I actually listened
Joe Walsh.
Walsh, that's it. I listened to his show even. I terrible. Walsh, Murphy. It was Irish. I was in the right, I was in the right country.
Yes.
I was on the right country. Sorry if you're listening, sir. And he was saying that DePaul is a Catholic university for Catholics who hate Catholicism. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced this?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I know my sophomore year, I battled a referendum to try to get DePaul to hand out free condoms.
In a private
Catholic school. But then the Republicans can't walk or mark with sidewalk chalk. But you can maybe hand out condoms.
Because the chalkening was a thing here too, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because they banned it. They banned all political slogans here.
Yes. Anything with a presidential or any candidate, name anything demeaning to other presidential candidate, anything. So, I mean, build a wall, which, I think we can all agree is a very short and concise way to say secure the border because we have a bunch of illegal immigrants coming in and it needs to stop. And they're saying that statement is too affiliated with Trump, so that cannot be written. Or
but they say it's racist, don't they? They go a step further. They say this is a racially charged hate crime. It's tantamount to whatever the Hispanic version of the N-word is.
Exactly. And when we met with administration today, we were talking about how, our people lined up to come into the event. They were very respectful. They did not start any sort of altercations or fights or screaming or whatever. They were fine. It was fine. And the woman who we were talking to had the nerve to say, well, you guys were all chanting build the wall. And they're like, well, there was another group of people that are saying to F me. So...
Yeah, because we went outside. We went outside together, and that's I've noticed this. I mean, you're not Katie. You don't have the full Voldemort package, but you're an attractive blonde girl, and you're a Republican, which puts you in the firing line because you're a girl with the wrong opinions. And it's the way that they speak to women when those women have the wrong opinions. If the tables were turned, they would be screaming blue murder. If you were, let us say, for the sake of argument, a blubbery, fat, self-loathing, blue-haired, facially pierced train wreck of a lesbian feminist, to pick an example at random.
There's a lot of DePaul.
Yes, not so much at random, more just wandering down the road and opening your eyes. My God, even this Pope would have something to say about them, surely.
They could make a museum of the people at DePaul.
Really?
Yes.
There's sort of like
how the liberals have a dictionary of insults, we can make a museum.
Not so much a museum as those old Victorian freak shows. Like the bearded lady and well, there are many bearded ladies. You'd run out of space.
Or are they just
ladies? We only need one. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. I think that's probably where we should leave it before my show gets taken off the air. But I think you've both been hugely brave, and thank you for joining me. Thank you for putting this event on, for having me. I have you give me hope, because everybody thinks this generation is a write-off. They think millennials are all signed up to the social justice nonsense. They think it's the BuzzFeed generation. But when I showed up, and thanks to your bravery and hard work, setting this event up, it looked out on a room of 550 people. Some of them, were not at college, they just come to see me, but many of them were DePaul students. It gave me hope, because if you think the enormity of support there, 550 would come to watch this thing, and then maybe 150 or 200 protesters outside and a couple in the room. I think, I really firmly believe that that's a good approximation of the sort of proportions that this generation believes in. The proportion of people who believe in free speech and challenging themselves and listening to new ideas and have a fucking sense of humor. I'm gonna get an explicit tag now. Damn it! I'm gonna lose my clean badge on iTunes. And the people who are signed up to this sort of hysterical conspiracy theory stuff. And this gives me hope, because although we know that the progressive social justice crazies wield disproportionate influence relative to their numbers, and of course run the media and academia and all the rest of it. Events like this, me showing up and the stuff that you guys are doing, I think demonstrates to the university authorities that they are in the minority and that they have to start respecting the only kind of diversity that matters, and that's intellectual diversity. And it comes in many forms. One flavor is political diversity, but all kinds of different ones. So thank you very much for joining me. It's been delightful. It's been nice to meet a fellow Voldemort. Well, two of them, really. There's a sort of cheeky mischievousness about the way we all giggle together, because we all know there's something not quite right about us. even we kind of, there's a little bit of us that buys into what they're selling. We sort of know we're not supposed to be. Thanks so much, ladies. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for everything.
You've been listening to the Milo Yiannopoulos Show, the podcast that launched 1,000 therapy sessions for triggered snowflakes. Thanks for tuning in, and please do subscribe on iTunes, leave us a comment, a rating, whatever you like. Our producer is Tom Sikotta. Our researchers are Will Ross and Michael Poole. Our resident German, Mark Geppert, ensures the trains run on time, and our sound engineer, John Fitch, can be found at sturbridgesound.com. Download new episodes of the Milo Yiannopoulos Show at podcast1.com, and you can also listen to us at Breitbart.
Stay tuned for 60-second AP News headlines.
AP Update, I'm Ross Simpson. 2 U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornets were apparently in the wrong place at the wrong time today when they collided and crashed off the coast of North Carolina. The accident happened in the right place, though, because Coast Guard Lieutenant Commander Kristen Pecora says there was a commercial fishing vessel and also a couple of helicopters in the area at the time of the mid-air collision.
2 individuals were a rescue swimmer retrieved them from the water, and 2 individuals were retrieved from the fishing vessel, and one of our rescue swimmers deployed down and retrieved them.
An aviation survival technician with the Coast Guard who helped rescue 2 of the downed aviators say they suffered a few dings and bruises from ejecting at high speed, but were in otherwise good shape. Another Coast Guardsman says some wreckage from one of the jets was still on the water when they swam to the men. AP Update, I'm Ross Simpson.